Welcome back to episode number 11 of ECW CyberSlam, and we begin with the shocking footage from last week as Rob Van Dam was set to be presented with the ECW World Championship by Paul Heyman. However, a twist in the tale, Paul Heyman appeared to have set Rob Van Dam up as he was immediately attacked by Homicide, Low-Key, Xavier and Sonny Siaki. Heyman did nothing, barely even watching as those four new Breed Revolutionaries laid into his champion. As CyberSlam ended, Low-Key pried the title from the hands of Rob Van Dam, raising it high above his head. Having looked uncomfortable throughout the attack, Paul Heyman eventually raised a smirk as Low-Key stood over Rob Van Dam. Going into the actual show, Heyman comes down to the ring. He is surrounded by about a dozen security guards. 2 of them enter the ring with him, the 10 others going around the perimeter of the ring. As Heyman begins, he says, "I took no pleasure in what happened to my close, personal friend, Rob that..." Before he can even finish the sentence, Tommy Dreamer is out and he tells Paul Heyman, "I'm going to kill you." Paul tells him to stop as security approach Dreamer. Heyman says that he'll let him do whatever he wants to him later, but for now, he needs Tommy to hear him out. Heyman tells Dreamer that he didn't want to have to do what he did last week, but he had to. Dreamer wasn't buying it, but Heyman continued anyway. He said that ECW was always about the future, being a forward-thinking, revolutionary alternative to the establishment. But when Heyman sees Rob Van Dam, he doesn't see the alternative anymore. He sees establishment. He says that he is so proud of the great success that Rob Van Dam had in the WWE. But as a businessman, he doesn't represent the culture of ECW anymore. Dreamer's furious, but Heyman tells him that he loves each and every one of the ECW originals just as much as he always has. And he needed all of them to make it possible for ECW to rise from the ashes. But now the company is back up and running. There is a buzz around Extreme Championship Wrestling again, and if Tommy Dreamer truly loves the company as much as he claims to, he'd understand that Paul is doing what is best for the future of ECW. Paul understands that Dreamer is angry, and if he wants to come to the ring and make Heyman a martyr for the cause of ECW, then he's more than welcome to. Paul says that he will clear the security from ringside because he is willing to die for his vision of ECW. Paul's words do cause Dreamer to hesitate, but as security begin to disperse and the opportunity opens up, he begins to walk down the ramp. However, he is quickly jumped by Low-Key, Homicide, Sonny Siaki and Xavier. Security then form a human shield around the assault, ensuring that there is no potential for anybody to help Tommy Dreamer. Once again, watching as one of his closest friends is being beaten to a pulp, Heyman has a smug smirk on his face again. The commentators are disgusted by his actions. Heyman is taking a perverse joy from seeing the men who built ECW taken down. Heyman's smile didn't remain intact for long, however, as the Sandman and Balls Mahoney came down to the ring through the crowd, avoiding the security. Luckily for Heyman, he saw them in time and moved more quickly than anybody has seen him move ever before. Mahoney and Sandman, holding a chair and a Singapore cane, respectively, had the attention of the new Breed Revolutionaries, who sent 2 of their men down to the ring. So the first segment got a much better rating than this, but that doesn't matter. I've started doing them into separate segments now just because I need to get more text in. Sonny Siaki again, I forgot to change his gimmick. I'm an idiot. The storyline losing heat, 36 D-, leading straight into the first match of the night. And it's a poor opener, a 32 E+, a decent reaction, but subpar wrestling, unsurprisingly considering who was involved. Xavier getting a 47, Sonny Siaki with a 30, so he's the weak link. Xavier doing pretty well, head and shoulders above everybody else. But in 7 minutes and 43, Sonny Siaki pins Balls Mahoney following a powerbomb that is apparently being called the Siaki Lips. During the match, the Sandman was taken out of action. He was powerbombed from the announcer's table to the floor below. After that move was done, he didn't move at all. The Sandman seriously hurt. After the match, Sonny Siaki and Xavier stand tall in the ring with Balls Mahoney out cold. Having been taken out earlier, the focus switches to the Sandman as he is seen being stretchered out of the arena. Footage is then shown of the brutal powerbomb that was delivered to him. The commentators put over that with Paul Heyman behind them, the new Breed Revolutionaries may be more unstoppable than ever. Another poor segment, a poor match. The storyline's losing heat, but hopefully we can heat it back up because we've got some more segments for this storyline coming up throughout the night. Going straight into one, Paul Heyman walking through the back. He is getting abuse from various people backstage. We kept them off screen because I just wanted to keep it simple. Nobody can get to him, however, as he is surrounded by that security. Paul turns to the two who joined him in the ring earlier, seemingly the head of this security team, telling them to ensure that there is security on every entrance to the ringside area for tonight's main event. If Tommy Dreamer wants to fight for ECW, he'll get to do that against Low-Ki in the main event, and a 76 B- rating, that's more like it. Superb performance from Paul Heyman, as always, and gaining heat, bringing that storyline back up. We then go into the second match of the night, a poor match. Acid and Kashmir defeating Roadkill and Danny Doring in 6 minutes and 52, when Kashmir pinned Danny Doring with a T gimmick. Great chemistry from them again. Shelly Martinez did some great work at ringside. She wasn't actually supposed to be there. I forgot to change that. Nevertheless, a 42 and a 42 from the Backstreet Boys. Doring and Roadkill with 37s, a 37 D- overall. Not a great match. Doring looks dejected as he heads to the back with Roadkill. He continues walking up the ramp when Johnny Swinger confronts them just by the stage. The two men begin to argue, Roadkill coming between them. They're bickering. The commentator's putting over that Shelly Martinez dumped Danny Doring last week, but also rejected the advances of Johnny Swinger. We'll then go into a promo from Elijah Burke in front of the ECW backdrop. The future of ECW is talking about his match next week with Al Snow. Burke makes fun of Snow's relationship with Head, suggesting that the Head was always out of his league. Burke then talks about his girlfriend, saying that Al Snow and all the losers in the ECW arena could only dream of having a woman like her. As Angel Williams shows this off to the camera, Shelly Martinez walks into the shot, looking to take her thunder. She walks past Elijah Burke while putting her hands all over him. This causes Burke to raise an eyebrow, with a furious Angel Williams staring down Shelly Martinez as she walks away. We then get a terrible video package looking at the turmoil that Brent Albright has suffered in recent weeks. First, he was screwed out of his shot at the ECW World Championship by Stevie Richards. He was then defeated by the Gatekeeper after involvement from C.W. Anderson. Next week, Brent Albright will go one-on-one with C.W. Anderson. That main event, a 47 D rating, not very good, a 60 from Low-Ki, a 48 from Tommy Dreamer. I was hoping that Low-Ki could drag Tommy Dreamer to something better. It does gain heat to the storyline, so again, not too bad. A decent match. Low-Ki defeating Tommy Dreamer in 10 minutes 9 with a Warrior's Wrath during the match. Homicide, the only person allowed at ringside. He didn't really directly get involved, but the fact he was there, also coupled with the fact that Tommy Dreamer had been brutally attacked earlier in the night, means that it was a fairly decisive victory for Low-Ki in the end, despite a valiant, brave fight from Tommy Dreamer. And while Homicide and Low-Ki stand tall in the ring to end the show, the commentator's focus is with Tommy Dreamer for those reasons that I stated before. Despite the incredible performance of Tommy Dreamer, the night still belongs to those new Breed Revolutionaries. As the commentators sign off from ringside, we cut to the back. The show ends with Paul Heyman seen by the curtain, surrounded by security, who are stopping Rob Van Dam and Sabu from getting their hands on the chief of ECW. Rob Van Dam is shouting at Paul Heyman, telling him he wants to go out there and kick the shit out of his boys. Sabu is equally eager, but Heyman says that won't be happening tonight. Rob Van Dam then makes a move for Heyman, telling him that he's full of shit, but he's stopped in his tracks by those security guards. Heyman's smugness only makes things worse, and he says that he sees that Rob is very angry, but he wants him to channel that anger. If as ECW World Champion he truly feels that he still represents what ECW is all about in 2006, then he can prove it next week against Steve Corino. RVD's surprised by a fellow original, Corino, being named as opponent, and even more so when Paul tells him that that match will be for the ECW World Championship. Paul then walks off, followed by a section of his personal security convoy. CyberSlam ends with a look between Rob Van Dam and Sabu, before the champ takes a long look at his title. He'll defend against Steve Corino next week on CyberSlam. So a night of dominance for the new Breed Revolutionaries garners a 56 C- rating. Not as good as the other two shows that we've done from the Hammerstein Ballroom, but certainly better than I was expecting given the poor standard of in-ring action that we saw, and it increased our popularity in 45 regions, so we can't complain too much there. Next week is the final show from Manhattan as we head for the following episodes to Battle Creek, Michigan, the hometown of Rob Van Dam. Of course, if he wants to walk into those shows as still ECW World Champion, then he'll have to beat Steve Corino on next week's episode of ECW CyberSlam.